everyone. Welcome to episode 137 of the Arieknits podcast. My name is Ariel, and this is a video podcast where I talk about all the things that I have been knitting and spinning on for the past week, although there's been no spinning this past week, just a lot of knitting. Today it is Saturday, November 29th, and I had a pretty good week. I had Thursday and Friday off from work, and so it was a nice, pretty restful couple of days so far. I got some knitting done. I actually got a lot of knitting done. I have a couple new cast-ons to share with you all. One of them's a pretty fun one. Very unexpected new cast-on for me. But I think it's fun and exciting and very, 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 very cute. But before we do that, I'm going to just do my normal what I'm wearing, a couple of finished objects, and then my whips. And I have one acquisition this week. And yeah, just some other yarn fun stuff at the end, I guess. Okay, let's start with what I'm wearing. I am wearing my Moonset Polo by Ozetta. I finished this a couple weeks ago. I'm only getting a chance to wear it now on the podcast. I use Explorer-Knits Rockies DK in the colorway Lavendula, and I held it together with two strands of Big Little Yarn Co. Suri Silk Lace in the colorway Nurikabe. They were both kind of like a light blue overall kind of color base, and Lavendula had a bit more. There were like splotches of some light purples in there, and then the Suri had a lot more of the like darker blue splotches, and some pink, and so you'll see some of that as they all kind of combined, and I really like how they all combined in this. I knit size extra small, and I used US 9 needles, which is 5.5 millimeter needles, to knit this. Final measurements I got is 42 inches in bust circumference, and that gives me about 12 inches of positive ease. And I want to talk about the fit on this because I wore this a few times already since I finished it, and I have thoughts on it. But let me just stand up and show you all what this looks like here. So here it is. It was knit top down. And there is that, if you've seen the other Ozetta Moonset like patterns, you'll notice the very similar V-neck shaping that has that overlapping section right here where it connects. And then this one has that nice polo collar. I will move my hair and kind of turn around so you can see that. It is a 1x1 rib collar. You can see the length on that. That folds over like that. Sleeves look short compared to the rest of the sweater because, at least for my arm length, because this body of the sweater drops so low into like my arm length, it kind of, to make up for it, the sleeves just have to be a little bit shorter. So as far as measurements wise, I did check final measurements on this a little bit more than I usually do for my finished objects or for test knits. Bust circumference, 42 inches, is actually the pattern sizing. And so I thought while I was knitting this, I felt like my gauge was too big. I did make a gauge swatch for this and I was right on gauge, but I guess, sometimes when you actually knit the thing versus your gauge swatch, it just changes. So I felt that this was becoming very, very oversized and larger than pattern measurements, and I was like, that's fine. I'm just gonna keep knitting on it and deal with it. Like, it's not that big of a problem. But so I was surprised when I measured it that I was bust circumference or circumference of the sweater is 42 inches and the pattern is 42.5 inches, I believe. And so I'm basically on measurements for that. And so I found that quite surprising because I thought I was off gauge. Sleeve length, as far as modifications, while I was knitting this, I actually did make these sleeves a lot shorter. As far as the decrease rate on them, I shortened it so that the sleeves would be shorter. One, because I was worried about running out of yarn, but two, also because if you look, like this sleeve length is totally fine. And so if I went any longer, they would just be too long. And so actually, if you measure just from where it connects to the armhole to the end of the sleeve, I am 2 inches shorter than pattern states. So yeah, if I went 2 inches longer I think that would be too long for me. I do like a long sleeve, but for ones where the cuff is pretty big and not fitted, if it's really long, it's going to feel a bit too floppy, I think. Speaking of circumference of the sleeve, I checked the circumference right at the armhole where it's biggest, and then there's decreases and it's smaller at the wrist. I am actually a couple inches smaller in circumference. Actually, I think it's like 1 inch smaller, both at the armhole and at the cuff. 1 inch smaller, my actual measurements, 1 inch smaller than the pattern states as well, which is interesting because that would be a stitch gauge thing, not a length thing. And so that means I was actually smaller stitch gauge wise on my sleeve. And they feel very large. And so I'm trying to imagine if they were even larger, that would be crazy, I think, because this already feels so big. One thing I couldn't find was the actual measurement of this V-neck depth on the pattern diagram of the measurements. It had full body length, and then it had from underarm to hem length, which I also kept about, I think it was 12 inches or 11 inches and a little bit. And I could do the math to figure out what this depth is supposed to be. But the reason why I was looking for it was I think it could just be on me. This V-neck depth is very deep. And so I would probably never, even if the V-neck depth was shorter, I would still probably wear a shirt under this. And right now I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt under this. But I'm going to just show you, I think my preferred depth on this would have been somewhere up here. So I just kind of moved, if I move this a little bit up like this, I think right here would be my preferred depth of V-neck. But right now it's kind of sitting just a tad lower, enough for it to be a little, I think it looks a little weird to me if I'm going to be honest, but there it is. I think, again, the yarn I held for this, it was a DK weight plus 2 strands of Suri. And so it is a very, very thick fabric that it created, and it's very fluffy, and I enjoy the weight of this, and especially because nowadays it's been cold, and so I've been really liking to wear a thin long sleeve shirt under my knits, and then just a nice heavy fluffy knit over. And that's how I've been enjoying my sweaters lately. The only thing about this one is because the V-neck is so deep, I feel like I'm just cold, kind of in this area. And so I just feel like if it was a little bit higher, just right here instead of down here. So that would be maybe ideally just a couple inches. That would have been best. I could probably just sew it down too if I really, really, really wanted to. It might look kind of weird though. But I will not reknit this. And honestly, I will probably just keep wearing this as is because even though it bothers me a little bit, it's not enough for me to not want to wear it. I think I might be a little weird in that way about wearing my knits. I can deal with a lot fit-wise if it doesn't quite fit the way that I would preferably like. I have a high tolerance for still wearing those things, and so because I do really like the weight of this, just the warmth of it too, except for where the V-neck is because it's just open. And I really like the yarn combination, really like the color. Oh, I should move up a little bit closer. I think you can tell though, up here the Suri was a bit lighter in the blue, darker blue, and then down here there's a lot more dark blue. spots in the yarn, so you can kind of see that as well, but I don't normally alternate skeins unless there's a really big reason I feel like I need to, and so I just kind of like deal with that. But it is something I've noticed, but it's not that crazy of a difference, so I feel like it doesn't it doesn't bother me that much. So, but I just want to point it out so you all know that I notice it, if you all notice it. Yeah. Okay, as far as, I think that this pattern, and I kind of knew this going into making this pattern, because this was a buddy knit with my friend Emily. We both cast on for Moonset Polos at the same time during our knit weekend away, but I think hers is on pause for a little bit while she works on a few other projects. But she's using a very, very different yarn than mine. It's a lot more of a structured yarn than mine. Mine is a very floppy yarn with, the Suri and the superwash yarn. Hers it's going to hold up a lot better. And I think that for a pattern like this, and I think a lot of Ozetta patterns actually, having a more rustic kind of yarn where it will hold its shape better will probably look best in this pattern. And so I did know going into making this that mine would end up being a bit more floppy, and that maybe it would be best with a different kind of yarn, but I really wanted to make it at the same time Emily was going to cast on, and I had the yarn for it, and so I like it. I do think if I made this pattern again, I would use a different yarn, probably just, a non-superwash, a more rustic yarn for this. Kind of a more sticky yarn, one that will, like a Divarum Natura Gilead would be super great for this, I think. Yeah. But I don't see myself wanting to make another one of this in a very, very long time. There's other things that I would rather knit than to make this one again in a different yarn. And because this one is great as is. It's a nice floppy, oversized, fluffy sweater, and so that's what I have. It's very oversized. I wish that there was one more size smaller than the current one, because the smallest size for this is a 42-inch body circumference, which I think is so big. It's very big. So that would be my one thing. Actually, I guess there was a couple things about this pattern, but I'm still going to and have been wearing this, so those are my thoughts. Okay, let's move on to my finished objects. Let's start with the one that I think is very predictable, which is a finished object. It is my November socks. Yay, I finished them in November. Holding them up now, these are the Hello Sailor Sock Set socks by Summer Lee. I use Zeezee Textiles Classic Fingering yarn in the colorway Tapestry. Love this color. Every time I look at it, I can't stop looking away from it. And I knit size small. I use US 1 needles, which is 2.25 millimeter needles to knit this. That is my default sock knitting needle. And yeah, here they are. I did not wash and block them. I had time to do it this week, and I just didn't do it. I was busy doing other things, as in knitting other things. But here it is. I think it's really nice. And it's a very easy sock pattern to knit while not being a, plain stockinette sock. It has some stitch pattern texture. It's a broken rib at the top of the foot. It is stockinette at the bottom. Might be a little difficult to see because of the yarn colors here. And then all around the leg area is the broken rib. It is a heel flap and gusset construction. And it is worked cuff down. And I think it's really great. And I'm very excited to wear these. I think I would really like to make this sock pattern again. Just because it was, broken ribs, a very easy stitch to work on and memorize. You don't really have to think too hard. Every new round, you just have to remember which pattern you're doing. But it's just a 2-round repeat stitch pattern. And it's great. I'm very happy with these. So nice, easy, fun, very good yarn color for November socks. and December's coming up so soon, and so I have to figure out what I'm going to do for my December socks. But yeah, yay, almost there for my full year of socks. And it's crazy that we still have December, and I have a lot going on in December, but I feel pretty confident I'll get my December socks done. I've been successful so far, I can't fail during December, so it'll happen, but I need to start thinking about what pattern I'm going to knit for the December socks. But those were a nice November socks for me. Yeah, okay. My second finished object is actually one of my new cast-ons this past week, and it was just a fun, random, kind of just like impulse cast-on. One of my friends messaged me this sweater pattern, this kid's sweater pattern, and I have this stuffed animal sheep that I have knit little clothes for in the past, but it's been some time. Like, I think it's probably been a couple years since the last time I've knit something for my stuffed animal, but my friend sent me this picture of the sweater and was like, it's so cute, and I really, really, really thought the sweater was so cute, and so I looked into it, looked at the pattern, tried to find some yarn in my stash for it, picked out a size, I cast it on last weekend, and then I finished it. And so I did put it on my stuffed animal so that you can see it. And it's washed and blocked, and so you'll see it's the full sweater. Okay. This is before I show you the full sweater. This is the Crossandra Sweater Junior by Nashknits. I use Sewrella Classic Worsted yarn in the colorway Cashmere. This pattern does call for DK weight yarn, but I had this worsted weight yarn in the right color and the right amount to make this. And I knit the smallest size in the junior pattern, which is size 4 to 5 years. And I use US 5 needles, 3.75 millimeter needles to knit this. And so I did size down my needles to try and get gauge better. Okay, I'll hold up my stuffed animal so you can see this sweater. Here's the sweater. As you can tell, I think if you know me, you can tell exactly why I really wanted to make this sweater. I really love this scalloped edging at the hem, and it's all done in knit. Usually for knit patterns, if there's a scallop hem, it's crocheted, but this one is knit. It's done using short rows, and it makes total sense on how to do it. And then on the sleeve, also this entire sweater is garter stitch. And then on the sleeve, there is a box pleat right at the cuff or right at the wrist where the wrist would be. And there's an I-cord bow tie all the way around. It's an applied I-cord, and so it's not going to like fall off. There's bow. And it's a little hard to see, but there's also the scalloped edging on the sleeve as well. And it's so cute, and I think it looks really cute on my sheep stuffed animal. There she is. So I'm very happy with this. I had to make modifications to the length and sizing for this to fit my stuffed animal. And so the body length on this is very, very, very short because my sheep has a short torso. And the sleeves are also really, really short as well. But other than adjusting the lengths for the sleeve and the body, I pretty much follow the pattern for this size. Again, this was the 4 to 5 year old size. And actually the other thing I did was I shortened the neck ribbing. I just shortened it because she has a short neck, and so I didn't want it to go. It's a pretty tight fit, so I thought that was. I just shortened the ribbing and the knit. It's like a rolled I-cord too, and so I just shortened each of those sections just by a little bit. But yeah, this is worked top down, drop shoulder, and there is shaping on the shoulders here, as you can see where that back shaping, where the shoulder shaping is, and where the pickup is for the front sections. But yeah, Okay, I think it's so cute, and I think it looks really cute on my sheep stuffed animal. Okay, this used about 2 and a little bit of skeins, and so I thought that was really nice and helps me use up some of my pretty yarn that I've been wanting to use. I actually think I got this yarn from one of my friend yarn swaps, and so that's been really nice. Okay, and then because I still have leftovers of that third skein, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be really cute, because I have a smaller sheep stuffed animal, and I was like, I can make a small version for this one as well. So I made a small version. I did not follow a pattern to make this one. I literally just cast on a certain number of stitches. I didn't really do any too crazy shaping. I kind of just like followed the form of making a sweater. And then the main thing is I made the scalloped edging for the body hem here. And then for the sleeves, they're literally just like 6 rows of garter stitch too for the sleeves. They look so short, but so funny, but so cute. And so I have my big sheep and my little sheep have matching sweaters. So that was kind of my fun project that I spent a lot of time on this week, knitting on. So, yeah, that was where a lot of my knitting time was spent. But I had a really fun time, and it was a very cute project, I think. And I think I would like to make this sweater pattern for myself as well, as a matching sweater, although not in the same yarn because I don't have a sweater quantity left of that yarn, to make the exact same one for myself. But I think, so I bought the junior pattern for this, but I think that I looked at the measurements and I think I could make the largest size in that. I think it said like 12 to 14 years is the size. And because the sweater circumference for that I think was like 40 inches. And so I think I don't have to buy the adult pattern for this sweater if I wanted to make a full-size one for me. But yeah, that was my actually pretty fun project this week. It did take up a lot of my knitting time on other things, but it was a holiday week, so I had extra time. But yeah, so that was my fun project. I'm very, very proud of it. I'm very happy with it. So yeah, again, that was a Crossandra sweater. Okay, let's move on to whips now. I just have like mostly just project updates. And so maybe this will fly by pretty quickly. Okay, ooh, I am tangled up in yarn here. Okay, let's talk about this one first. This is the Fleur Tee by Woolbird. I know you've heard me talk about this pattern so many times because this is the 3rd time I am making it. I am using Sewrella cotton linen wool in the colorway Daunt Books, which is a green color, and I'm knitting size 2. I'm using US 1.5 needles, which is 2.5 millimeter needles, and this one is going to be for my sister. And so, okay, holding up, I have what now looks more like a t-shirt, which is great. I cannot remember. Oh, I think from the last time, I finished the front because I had the back. I already split for sleeves for front and back last time. I finished the back, so I finished the front. This week, I sewed together the tops of the shoulders for the front and back. And then I did do the neck ribbing, which I think looks great. And then I am now working just on my first sleeve. I just finished the short rows actually for the first sleeve, and so now I just need to knit a little bit, couple more pattern repeats, do the ribbing, and then finish the second sleeve. And so I really, really hope, I'm going to try hard this coming week to finish up this tee, because then that'll be, I think, the end of my, the end of the Fleur Tees for this year. and kind of like the bigger like deadlines that I wanted for myself before Christmas time, because I want these tops to be for my Christmas presents for my sister and my mom, and this one's the last one I need to make. So I'm very close. I am not concerned about not finishing. I just would love to finish this sooner so that I don't have to worry about it at all. And then I can knit on some new projects. Because I do have a new cast on that you haven't seen yet. But yeah, so that's the Fleur Tee. Just a quick update on that one because you've seen it so many times already. Okay, next up is my Comebackigan by Andrea Mowry. I'm using Viking Fiber Co. Lofn Sport in the colorway Blood Oath. And I'm knitting size 2. I'm using US 5 needles, which is 3.75 millimeter needles to knit this. And this one is just a quick, I almost don't need to show this update because I'm still working on the body. And I didn't work all that much on it. I wanted to work on it a little bit more, but as you can maybe tell by my mini sweater project for my stuffed animals, that took up seriously a lot of time this week. I just knit, I think that might be just a few pattern repeats or stitch pattern repeats. Maybe, if I'm optimistic, maybe like 2 inches of body. So I still have a ways to go, but I'm still enjoying working on this actually. And yeah, because if you remember, I started this project a while ago. I want to say maybe a couple months ago. I knit one pocket and then I didn't work on it for a very long time. I think it's because I had like test knits and or some other like deadline knits, and working on some gift knits and stuff, and so it kind of just got put on the side. But now that I've picked it back up, I've been feeling really, really good about it. Working with the yarn has been really nice, and I love the color, and I'm excited for the finished object of this as well. So that's been great. Also, the yarn for this I got from Flock this year, and so it also feels really good to be working with yarn like so soon after I got it. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to update for that. I feel like I'm flying through my whips. Okay, because yeah, next one. This is my pressed flower shawl. I would say once I'm done with my Fleur Tee, this is the one I'm going to focus on finishing up next, because it is then the last thing that I would love to get done before the end of the year, because it is my 9th project in my Make 9. Again, this is the Pressed Flowers shawl by Amy Christoffers, and I'm using Little Fiber Co. Falkland DK in the colorway Maitake for the main color, and then I'm using some handspun fiber also from Little Fiber Co. Rambouillet fiber in the colorway Fungi Filigree. And yeah, let me hold up what I have. The rows on this are getting so long, and so it's looking a bit squished on my needles right now, and it's feeling really squished on my needles actually, and it's just going to keep getting more squished. It's not terribly squished yet, but I have to, as I'm knitting, I have to actually like put stuff down and kind of like move the stitches over. But here it is. I'm trying to like stretch out one side. And here's my stitch marker. Oh my gosh. See, I just dropped some stitches, but it's fine. This yarn's great because even when it falls off my needles, it doesn't like totally just like unravel itself. It kind of just like stays. Okay, here's my stitch markers down here. So I did 3 rows. You can kind of see 1, 2, 3 rows of flowers, and so that's what I got done this week. They felt like they took forever, but I'm finally done with the main pattern. This is the center line here. This is a triangular shawl, but here's the center line. And yeah, so I am now done. I wanted to get done the main pattern repeat before I do the border pattern. So now all I have left is the border pattern, which just is the flowers, same flower pattern, except they're instead of being offset like each row being offset like into, you know, the middle of each one. They're a bit more scrunched together. They're just more concentrated. The flowers are more concentrated around the border. So it's a different chart to follow. But then after that, it's just the border. It's going to take forever, I think. But I would love to finish the border this week and also get this done this week. Because then after that, all of the projects that I'm like, oh, I really wanted to get done before December or before the end of the year, I can just freely cast on anything and everything that I want, which I kind of already started this week, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm already planning or starting to think about planning for next year's like goals and my Make 9 for next year. So yeah, it's been good. I'm feeling accomplished. Also, I'm loving how this is turning out. I remember being so nervous about the color choice for this just because I was worried there wouldn't be enough contrast between the main color and the contrast color, but I think it's looking really great. It is subtle, more subtle than if I chose like a really bright white or really like dark brown, but it's still very visible and clear to see the flower pattern and everything. So very, very, very happy with how this is coming out. And I love I love knitting with my handspun, and so that's definitely part of the fun part about knitting this. But I also love this base, this Falkland DK base from Little Fiber Co. It just feels so nice and it's so soft. And so I think I do have maybe a little more of that base somewhere in my stash for something else, but it would be really great as a sweater. Yeah, I have a lot of yarn, so yeah, if I plan to get more of that base for a sweater, I think I have to work a bit more through my stash before I can justify that purchase, but yeah, would feel great in a sweater. Ooh, but yeah, my pressed flowers shawl is almost done, so that's feeling really good. Maybe I'll work on this one more today. It does kind of feel like it works up, even though the rows are now really long, it kind of feels like it works up quickly. Actually, I know why it feels like it works up quickly. It's because, again, a lot of my projects are fingering weight, and so working with like a DK weight / maybe slightly worsted weight. I think my handspun might be more of a worsted weight yarn. It just feels like it goes by a lot faster, even though the rows are very long on this. Oh, I did want to mention, so I just have the border left to do on this, which is still quite a bit actually of rows, but this is my second skein. I have a third skein of my main color, so I'm not feeling worried at all. And then this is my second and last skein of my handspun, and I still have a good bunch of this. So I'm feeling good yarn-wise. I'm just like, I am actually wondering if I will make it to my third skein of my main color. If not, that's fine, because there's a hat pattern I've been eyeing that uses a DK weight yarn that would be great, I think, in this yarn. This would be great for a hat as well. But anyway, yeah, I'm so excited for some new cast-ons very soon. I might go crazy with the new cast-ons, but I want to get some of this. I will get some of these done very soon. I'm excited. I'm just very excited. Okay, next whip is one that I thought I would finish this week, but I didn't. Again, it's because of the other things that I was working on. The other kind of like side projects that kind of just ended up happening. But this is my Bam Bam Bow by Anne Vensel. The yarn I'm using is Little Fiber Co. Cashmere Fingering in the colorway Gleam. It is so gorgeous. It's so pretty. It knits up. It's one of those yarn colors that I think knits up so much it looks so pretty knit up versus in the skein, and it looks so pretty already in the skein. I don't have the skein next to me, but yeah, I am knitting the adult size. There's two sizes. There's a kid size and an adult size, and it is just length. It is just length, and the difference between adult and kid is length. And I'm using US 2 needles, 2.75 millimeter needles to knit this. It is a size up in needle size. The pattern recommends a US 1.5. However, those were being used for my Fleur Tee, so I was like, I'm just going to just use US 2. Okay, this is what I have. Last time I showed it to you, I finished one half, which was this half. And this time, here's how much I'm almost there. Do you see that? I'm almost there. I just almost basically just have to do like a few more rows of garter and then do the decreases, and then I'll be done. The reason why I stopped, because I was working on this, I only worked on this, I don't know why, this second half felt like so much faster to knit than the first half. The first half, I was like, wow, this is taking longer to knit than I was expecting. But this second half, where my stitch marker is, this second half felt so fast. I think I picked this back up. I didn't start knitting on this week until yesterday. I knit a bit, maybe like this much, yesterday, and then I did the rest of this morning. And then I ran out of yarn. Or, I didn't run out of yarn. I finished up, I'm basically done here with my first skein. And so luckily I do have 2 skeins of this. The pattern does say, like I should have been able to finish this with my 1 skein, which is 50 grams of this yarn. It's all cashmere, and so it is a pricey skein. It is 50 grams. Well, where was I going with this? Oh, I should have been able to knit this whole 1 scarf with the 1 skein. However, my gauge is off as predicted because I sized up my needles. And so the width of this is actually like, I just measured it. I think it's 2 centimeters. It might be 2 centimeters too wide, or maybe 1.5 centimeters too wide versus the pattern sizing. And so I think that just ate up more of the yarn than it needed to for the pattern. And so I already was feeling a little bit nervous because when I was done with the first half, I had 25 grams left of my skein. And that is half of 50 grams. However, I feel like usually when you try to do like half of something with your yarn, you want to end with a little more, like you want your second half yarn amount to be just like, I think like a few more grams to be extra safe that you'll finish with the skein. But I wasn't worried because I have a second skein, and so I just continued. And yeah, I was close. I actually thought I was going to be a lot closer to finishing before needing the second skein. Like I thought maybe I would need the second skein for like this much of the end, but I do, like I'm not even at the part where I start decreasing yet. I'm close, but not quite. And so again, let me fold this in half so you can see how much more I need to go. I'm sorry, my needles are just like banging around here. I still have a good chunk. Like it's not going to eat too much into my second skein, but it wasn't like, oh, I just needed this much more yarn to like finish the bind off or something. So, but I'm feeling good. Also, I should do this. I should just mid-project try on this because now the you can see what it's supposed to look like. I mean, I do show a picture of the pattern pictures of this, but also this feels so nice. It feels so nice. I do think that this is a great pattern if you want to try like a really nice cashmere yarn, because you only need basically 1 skein. I mean, it depends on where you get the cashmere yarn. I think some cashmere yarn, Cardiff cashmere, I think their balls of yarn come in 25 grams, so you might need 2 of those. And it's also called DK weight, but I think that is the yarn that is used in the pattern pictures. But I'm using a fingering weight cashmere yarn from Little Fiber Co. So if you're thinking about wanting to try it, but you have no idea what you're gonna make with it, I would highly recommend this pattern because it's so dang cute, and it does use up you could just use one skein for this. I'm going to end up using a little more than one, but if you're careful with your gauge and stuff, you should be able to finish this with one of those skeins. Okay, I should have talked while I did this. Okay, the way that this is constructed is it's symmetrical on both, so you can do it in whichever way, but there is an opening here, right here, and so you would just put, actually I should have shown it on this side because I'm going to put this through this side. There's an opening, and so you just put one side through, and so it's stuck in there. It's not going to fall off your neck, and obviously mine isn't done on this side, but then you get like a cute, it looks kind of like a bow in the front, and it's like really nice. It looks very like fancy. I feel like it looks kind of fancy. It's like a fancy scarf, and it's so soft because of the cashmere, and it goes up pretty high on your neck, and so you feel it, and it's really nice. Yeah, because I feel like I don't have that much cashmere knit stuff, but the ones that I do, I'm like, I want that touching my neck. Like, I want to be able to feel it while I'm wearing it, because then it feels like worth it that I've knit it in cashmere, if you know what I mean. So yeah, this is so cute. I want to make like 100 of these in like all different colors and all different yarn as well. I think it would work in any fingering weight yarn. Oh, but it's so cute. And so I am going to finish this also this week. I mean, it's got to happen. I'm so close. I'm so close. And I really want to wear it. I just want to wear it. I'll probably just wear it indoors too, because it's like, it's warm, but because it's like soft and light, it doesn't feel like overly warm, if that makes sense. It feels perfect for inside wear, but also would be nice for outside wear. Oh, it's just it's so pretty. It's so pretty, and it's so soft, and it looks so delicate. Not in a fragile way, but just like, so nice. I'm gonna try and get a better view of the yarn color here for you. It's a variegated, very pastel rainbow kind of colors, but oh, it's so good. I forgot to mention, so all of this is done in garter stitch, except for this part here where it splits into two here, so that you can have the hole to put the other side through. This is done in stockinette for each side. On both sides it's done in stockinette, but the rest is in garter stitch with slip stitches on the edges to make that really nice. Ooh, this is a really pretty pattern. I'm really, really happy that I finally knit it. And I seriously want to make a bajillion more of these. Because it's so good. It's so good. It actually knits up pretty quickly, I feel. I think, it's a good travel project if you're just working on the main part here, where it's just garter stitch and the slip stitch edges. But it does get a little finicky when you're splitting up the stitches to do the stockinette section here, and then moving it back to do the kind of the petal looking part here. It's a little fiddly, so it's, I think if you're doing a car knit, it might get a little fiddly doing that in the car, but the rest of it is very easy and straightforward. So yeah, this is great. This is a great project. Would highly recommend. I cannot wait for it to be done. I'm going to wear it all the time, I think. And even just working with this, it's so soft. It's so soft. And the color is so pretty. Okay, I'm going to stop saying that because I think I said that probably 10 times already, so you know how much I love it. But yeah, it's great. Great pattern. Thank you, Sophia, for telling me about this pattern. It's perfect. It's very me. And so, yeah, it's great. Also, I feel like it would be great gift knits as well, because they're kind of on, they're on the smaller side of, it's not like a sweater knit. And it's not like a sock knit where, you have to like measure their feet to make sure it fits nicely. I feel like for this one, it should fit, I think, most people. And oh, it's great. It's great. I do think already though, the next time I knit this, I probably will actually continue to knit it on the US 2 size needles, because I do really like the fabric that it's creating. Like, it's very flowy and soft. But I think what I would do, now that I know how it's knit and how it's constructed, I would just cast on less stitches, because again, the width of this, I think it's like, I wish I remembered the number. I should have wrote it down, but I think it's like 2 centimeters too wide versus the pattern, what the pattern says it should be because of my gauge. But I would just cast on less stitches so that it's a little bit thinner. And that way I'll probably save a bit more yarn too. So I would actually be able to knit that with one skein of the cashmere yarn that I have that's in the 50 gram skeins. Yeah, okay, that's the Bam Bam bow pattern. I love it. It's very cute. Okay, and then my last whip to talk about was my other new cast on this week. I cast this on Thursday, on Thanksgiving. I guess you could say this was like my Thanksgiving cast on. I did not think I was going to have a new cast on Thanksgiving, but I just felt it needed to happen, and so I did it. I just had this idea, and I was like, I want to cast it on now. And this is a pattern you've seen before already. So this is my second time making this pattern, just with a very different yarn than before. I cast on another Metropolitan pullover by Tori Yu. It was one of the sweater patterns on my Make 9 this year, and so I'm just making a second one this year. I could potentially finish this year too. We'll just see how it goes, but I feel no pressure to finish it this year. I just really wanted to start it this year. This time I am using, because I've had this idea to make this pattern with 2 strands of Suri. So I am using the Woolberry Berry Suri, the old base, the one that is like 300 something yards per skein, not the new Suri, which has like over 400 yards per skein. I just want to say that because also for my memory and my note taking and yardage taking to know which yardage skeins I'm using. Anyway, the old Suri in the colorway Rustic, which is a gorgeous red. I am knitting size 1, and I'm using US 10 needles, 6.0 millimeter needles to knit this. That is the recommended needle size. I'm going to hold up what I have. Yeah, I knit quite a bit on this week. So if I could have maybe finished like my Fleur Tee, maybe even my Pressed Flowers shawl this week if I didn't have my new cast-ons this week. But I really, the yarn was eyeing me on this. I wanted to knit with this yarn, this specific yarn and colorway for so long. And I've always had this thought of it being like my Christmas sweater. Like, it's not red, but it is kind of like a pinky red. It is called Rustic. I think on Suri it kind of like toned it down from the red that it is on like the normal other bases. But I have a sweater quantity of the Suri, and I was like, I was thinking about making a cumulus blouse, but I was like, Then I remembered I wanted to make the Metropolitan pullover. I thought it would be really nice with 2 strands of Suri, and so I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I really like my first Metropolitan pullover, and so I was like, I would love to have a second one. And as you can see, this worked top down, and so I have already split 4 sleeves and worked a couple inches in the body. So that's where I'm at right now. Everything's pretty fuzzy. It's a little bit more difficult, I think, to see the yarn over details around the armhole that surround the sleeve, I guess. But you can still see that shoulder detail there a little bit, I guess. I think in person it's easier to see than on camera. It might just be my lighting. And then the neckline probably looks a little funny because I did not pick up and do the neckline yet, which I think is a rolled neckline, but you do pick up and knit a little bit more, but I did not do that yet. So this is where I'm at. I think my gauge is a little big, but I am not worried, because I think sizing wise, I like the size of my first one, and I think it might have even been a little bit smaller than pattern. And I was like, I could definitely go for a larger one. I'm knitting the same size, but even if it ends up being a little bit larger, I'm not going to mind it. But it's actually, as I'm holding it up like this, it actually looks pretty fine. So yeah, I'm really excited. As far as the 2 strands of Suri, how it looks on this, US 10 is actually pretty large needles for that. You could definitely, I mean, because the Suri is fluffy, even if something's pretty holy or the gauge is large, the fluff kind of fills in the holes a bit, but you can tell in this that it's a little holy, just a bit. Just a bit. You can kind of see through it just a little bit, but I think it'll have a lot of nice airflow, and if it's a little bit larger, it's going to just feel like comfy, and not like stuck to your skin and like suffocating type of situation. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, it's looking great. And yeah, it works up quite quickly. US 10 needles. Knitting with 2 strands of Suri actually does feel a little bit slow in general, though, just because I need to make sure I'm like putting the needles through both strands. And also I think because I've been working on so many fingering weight projects, that working with these needles kind of cramps my hands a little bit while I'm working on it, but it's been fine. I just like took some breaks and made sure I did some hand stretches in between. But yeah, so this was my kind of like new cast on I was not expecting to do. But basically, once I had the idea to cast this project on with this yarn, I was just like, oh, I just like have to do it. I just have to do it. I have to see it. I want to do it. I want to make it. So that happened this week, and I'm feeling really good. Feeling really good about my projects. I had a great time knitting this week. I had so much fun knitting this week that I did not do any spinning. I was thinking about it, but it just, yeah, there's just some weeks where I'm like, I would rather knit, and I think that that's okay. I also did a lot of spinning lately as well, and so maybe I'm just like wanting to just take a little bit of break from the spinning. So I think all of the spinning projects that I wanted to get done before the end of the year are done now too. So I'm feeling no pressure to spin. I want to spin more before the end of the year. Just maybe a little bit of a break before I pick it back up again. Okay, last thing I have to talk about is an acquisition I have. This is from the La Mercerie Year of Fiber, and it's the last one. It's December. It was a subscription for 1 braid of fiber every month for the year. I think there's also like a sock set you could do. Like there's a year of socks, which you get a sock set, 1 per month, or a year of fiber, which is 1 braid of fiber per month. And so this is the last one, and I had a great time with the subscription this year. All of the colors and the dyers and the fiber were all really nice. I did not spin with any of them this year. Part of me is just because I wanted to kind of I like having the set. For some reason, the idea of like having the set first, all of it, and seeing all of it before deciding what to do with it was how I wanted to do it. Or I could have just, spun it every month, but that didn't happen, and so it just I wasn't going to pick all of that back up for this year. Maybe next year it could be a thing where I just go back and every month next year spin it, because I'm not planning on getting the subscription again next year, just because I didn't spend any of what I have already this year, and I don't need more fiber because I already have a lot. But anyway, so I'm going to show you the December colorway. So I know that today's November 29th, tomorrow's the 30th, and then it is December 1st, I believe. So if you don't want to see this color, because at least at the time of recording, this colorway has not been posted or emailed about, just look away for a little bit, or just end the video, because I'll probably just end the video very soon after this. But yeah, I'm going to hold it up and talk about it for a little bit. Okay, so for December, it is from the fibers from Bramble Ridge, and it is on Cormo fiber, which I love Cormo, and it is, the colorway I think is called Coorie, Coorie, and here it is. It's really nice. I love Cormo fiber, and all of these dark colors are feels very December-y, so it's really nice. I think my favorite colors in this are like this section here. The blues are very nice, but I do love this color section right here. And so I think spun up is going to be really nice. Yeah, and the fiber feels great. Feels very soft. So yeah, here it is. That was just my quick acquisition for this week that came in the mail, I think just yesterday for me. And then that's basically it. The last thing I do want to talk about, though, is tonight, actually. So as you're watching this, maybe I don't know how quickly this collection might sell out. I have no idea. But Red Door Fiber Studio is having her K-pop Demon Hunter collection, pre-order collection, come out tonight. And I'm very excited about it. As you maybe know and have heard me talk about, I love K-pop Demon Hunters and just the whole thing and everything about it. And so I really want to order some yarn from this collection. I told myself that this would be the last yarn purchase of the year is from this collection. So I am planning on getting some of that light blue colorway called Happy Fans Happy Hon Moon, and I want to get it in the Party Fluff base. And if you haven't seen it, definitely take a look at it. If I remember, I'll put a picture up here of it, but it is the Party Fluff base. It's like a fluffy base, but it has like rainbow or like neon tweed colors in it, and it's so cute. I think it looks really, really cute in that light blue colorway. So I'd love to get that. I'm thinking about using it for like a Slightly Sassy V, which is a pattern by Amy Sher, like maybe something like that. But really, really want that colorway. So, and I, who knows, maybe if the collection doesn't sell out super fast, something else might fall into my cart, while looking at it all, because the colors are all so good. But I really need to try and not buy too much yarn. I bought a lot of yarn this year, and so I want to end the year strong and not with too much yarn buying. But I definitely really want that colorway in that base, the Party Fluff base. It's so cute. Also, that base is new, I think, for Red Door. So yeah, so that's my plans. If you have plans or have bought at this point, I guess as you're seeing the video, for the K-pop Demon Hunters collection, please let me know. I would love to know on what your plans are. And if you don't have plans and you just want to buy the yarn because it's pretty, also let me know, because I've also done that and do that. But yeah, I think that's it. I maybe want to get some sewing done before the end of this year too. I have a pattern, kind of, it's not cut out yet, but I've pieced together the pattern pieces, and so I just need to do like the tracing and stuff for that. But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like a lot of things to do before the end of the year, knitting wise and also non-knitting wise, so still feeling kind of busy, but I'm feeling really good about my projects. I think all my gift knits and stuff will be done, and so that feels really great. Might add on more gift knits. I was like, ooh, that Bam Bam bow would be really cute for gift knits, but like, is it too late to start that now for a couple people? Maybe, but I'm also crazy, so we'll see. But yeah, I think that's all I have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. I had a great knitting week this week, and so I'm really happy I got to share that with you all today. And let me know in the comments down below what you've been working on while listening or watching to this podcast, because I love to know. Yeah, I love hearing from you all. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great week, and I'll see you all in next week's video. Bye!